They do. And Hindus also think the same way. Some Hindus think that the absolute truth is Brahman. And that's it. They don't, and they think Krishna is a way to come to Brahman. And I don't know much about Judaism, what they believe.
So would you say general proportion in the world of people who accept God as a personal is bigger?
Well, you have to talk. I either have to shut this off or you have to talk loud.
Louder?
Louder for me.
General, the proportion in the world of people who accept God as impersonal is bigger than the proportion of accepting.
I have to do a survey. I don't know the proportion. But even, it seems to me, amongst individual religions, people have different conceptions. So here, there's a common controversy, this is common, over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. And it seems to be every religion thinks that. Except Buddhism, I think, definitely thinks he's impersonal. They don't think he's personal at all. They think he's nothing. You know, so, but Christianity is personal and impersonal. Hinduism, they think personal and impersonal. And I think Judaism is probably similar, personal and impersonal.
When I was a child,
Talk loud with this air conditioner. I mean, I can shut it off.
yeah, when I was a child, so I was told that the God is a person. But I wasn't told like other features like Brahman and Brahma. So I was only believing.
Well, you were taught properly as a child. So I don't know if since then anything changed, but you were definitely.
Same as
Yes. So some people are taught, but even Christians, even Catholics, that's one thing. People who are Catholics believe both things. God is an energy, he's a force, or something, he's a person. I mean, I always thought he was a person, but later I found that people who don't think that. So this is a common controversy. Now, as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And this is confirmed in every step. So not only is the absolute truth personal, but who it is. Now, Krishna can expand. He expands into Balaram, Sankarshan, Arjuna, Aniruddha, so many different forms. He expands into Nrsimha, expands into Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So Krishna, but the original Supreme Personality of God, just like, now Prabhupada gives the example of a candle. If you light a candle, that potency of light is one candle power. I don't know if there's another way they measure it. I think they do. I think they do in electric. They measure how much energy that puts out. Now, if you light another candle, that candle is one candle power. Does anybody know what this is called, an electric one? There's a name. Anyway. What? I don't know what you're saying. Anyway, and then if you light another candle, they're all equal. But one was the original that lit the others. So similarly, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. He's the original. And there is certain things or certain qualities that Krishna has that other incarnations don't have. It's said that Krishna is 100% has the qualities of God. And all the other expansions, except maybe Balaram, other than Balaram, have 96% of the qualities of God. And then Shiva has 84% of the qualities of God. And the Jiva, that's all of us, can have, if we fully surrender to God, up to 76% of the qualities of God. So,
I
right.
have one question. So what do you say about the qualities of God? What are the qualities of God?
what are the qualities? Well, in the nectar devotion, which we have, wouldn't give me a nectar devotion, it tells the different qualities of
Six
God.
opulence, right?
What?
6 opulence of God.
Well, he has 6 opulence, not that's different than the quality.
That's 6.
I think there's a chapter in here about the qualities. Qualities of Sri Krishna. And then the next chapter, that's page 155, the next chapter, qualities of Krishna further explained and Krishna's personality. So I'll go to page 155 and I'll read, I'm not going to read all the qualities of Sri Krishna. Well, I'll read the introduction part, and actually in there it tells a lot of the qualities of God. Personal features can be divided into 2. One feature is covered and the other feature is manifested. When Krishna is covered by different kinds of dress, his personal feature is covered. There is an example of his covered personal feature in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with his Dwarka Leela, his residence in Dwarka as its king. Sometimes Lord Krishna began to play by dressing himself like a woman. Seeing this form, Uddhava said, "How wonderful it is that this woman is attracting my ecstatic love exactly as Lord Krishna does. I think she must be Krishna covered by the dress of a woman." So this is some example of it being covered. These are not the qualities. Let's see. Srila Rupa Goswami, after consulting various scriptures, has enumerated the transcendental qualities of the Lord as follows. These are his qualities. There's actually, I think there's 64, but first there's 50. It's 50, and then there's some other. But the first 50 qualities, we'll just start with that. Beautiful features of the entire body, marked with all auspicious characteristics. Extremely pleasing. He's pleasing. He's effulgent. He's strong. He's ever youthful. He doesn't grow old. In the Bhagavad Gita, when he spoke Bhagavad Gita, he's 125 years old. But he only looked like he was 16. He doesn't grow older than that. Wonderful linguist. He can speak all different languages, even the languages of the animals. Truthful. These are some of the qualities we can have. We can be truthful. And in Kali Yuga, there are 4 pillars. There's, let's see, truthfulness, austerity. Let's see, austerity, truthfulness. What are the other 2? Mercy. Mercy, and what else? Jiva. What?
Clean.
Who's saying it?
Clean.
Who's talking? What did you say?
Cleanliness.
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 Cleanliness, thank you. Live translators. Got to. Yeah, so it says that in Kali Yuga, in each age, some of these get destroyed. Austerity gets destroyed, cleanliness gets destroyed, this truthfulness gets destroyed, and mercy. And it said in Kali Yuga, the only thing that's still left is some truthfulness. There's some people that are truthful. Most people are not even truthful. So they don't, and you know, cleanliness, this is, they don't have any idea what cleanliness is. They think they're clean because they have some conception of what their idea of cleanliness, but according to Shastra, they're dirty. According to Shastra, you have to take a bath generally 3 times a day, you know, for being clean. That's just one thing. If you, you touch, there's so many rules in cleanliness. So people think they're clean. People don't even bathe in this country. You know, once a week, that's fine, you know. I'm not that dirty. Indians, at least, every day you take a bath. How can you go without bathing? But then sometimes you wear the same dirty clothes. That's not clean. You gotta wear fresh clothes. You take a bath, you wear fresh clothes. So, anyway, truthfulness is still left. So, we may have some of this. Talks pleasingly. This is a quality of Krishna. Some people talk pleasingly. Krishna has this. Fluent. Highly learned. Highly intelligent. A genius. Artistic. Extremely clever. Expert. Grateful. Firmly determined. An expert judge of time and circumstance. So we have to judge according to time, place, and circumstance. He's expert. He knows exactly what to do. He knows everything. You know, sometimes with our tiny little insignificant brains, we have some idea of how something could be done and what we should do to solve this problem. Now, we may be right, we may not be right, but Krishna's intelligence is so vast. So you can go to Krishna and ask him if this is a good idea or should I try something else? And if you're sincere and praying sincerely, he can let you know. Sees and speaks on the authority of Vedas. Pure, self-controlled, steadfast, forbearing, forgiving, grave. Grave. Anybody know what grave means? Gravity. Prabhupada says gravity is the best way to control the mind. So it's a very good quality to be grave, very serious and grave. One time, this sannyasi who was serving Prabhupada had read that the best way to control the mind was to be grave. So he decided he's going to control his mind by being grave. And he was very grave. And then after a little while, Srila Prabhupada said, "Why are you so morose?" So it's not the same thing as being morose. Prabhupada was grave, but he was also not morose. He was happy and cheerful. So we don't want to get carried away. I'm going to be grave, I'm grave. Self-satisfied. That's a really wonderful quality. Imagine that you're satisfied. You don't need all this stuff. I don't have to run here and there to try to find happiness. I'm happy. And we can be self-satisfied completely. But that's only with Krishna. If we are accepting Krishna and doing what Krishna wants, we can be completely self-satisfied. We don't need anything else. Anything else is a disturbance. Anything else brings us down. Possessing equilibrium, magnanimous. Prabhupada gave a definition of magnanimous. Anyone know what magnanimous means? What?
It's the opposite of miser.
Right. He said charitably disposed is magnanimous. Religious. Krishna's religious. He would come out in Dwarka and sit and meditate upon himself. Heroic, with so many examples of how he was heroic. You know, capturing Rukmini who wanted him. Compassionate, respectful. He was respectful to his superiors. He dealt with his superiors and inferiors, he dealt with them properly. Gentle. When you're not an enemy, he's very gentle. Liberal, shy, the protector of surrendered souls, happy, the well-wisher of devotees, controlled by love. So you can control him by love. You can't control God, but you can control him by love. By loving him, he has to do what you want, kind of. Yes, there was one devotee who, Bilvamangala Thakur, he was blind, and he grabbed Krishna. This is in the Nectar Devotion also, and it's the quality of like pride, for a devotee to be proud. This is the way a devotee can be proud. Generally, Krishna doesn't like his devotees being proud, but Bilvamangala Thakur grabbed Krishna, and Krishna got away, and then Bilvamangala Thakur told him, I'll be impressed with you if you can get away from the core of my heart. So he's proud that I have you in my heart. There's nothing you can do about it. All auspicious, most powerful, all famous. No one is as famous as Krishna. I mean, how many people here have heard of Mickey Mantle? One person. He was a baseball player from probably the 60s. Nobody heard of him anymore, except for Jill. And no matter, I don't know too many Indian famous people, but I mean, you know of them now. Who's going to know of them in 100 years from some Bollywood movie or something? They're not famous. Krishna is famous for over 5,000 years. Popular. He's very popular, especially with the gopis. Partial to devotees. He's partial to devotees. Now, Krishna is liberal. He's fair with everyone. He treats everyone equally. But he's partial to his devotees. So that's not fair. I'm not his devotee, so I don't like that he doesn't care about me as much as he cares about the devotees. So how is God fair? Can you answer that? How is God fair? If he's partial to his devotees? Okay, did someone else answer? Yeah.
He takes special interest in the.
Speak loud.
He takes special interest in the lives of the devotees. He is personally interested to set things up so that the path for the devotees to come back to God is set right.
How is that fair?
Oh.
That's the question. He doesn't do that for the non-devotees. He's partial to devotees. He takes care of the devotees. I mean, we're trying to be devotees, so he's going to be partial to us. But how is it fair that these other people who are not devotees, like for instance, I'll give an example. For a devotee, everything that happens to a devotee, there's a hand, Krishna has his hand in it. Krishna doesn't let something happen to a devotee that's going to destroy their spiritual life. Sometimes things happen that are not good. Bad things, seemingly bad things happen to a devotee. But they're there, and Krishna sanctions it because it will help make the devotee stronger. So, but for the karmis, the non-devotees, he doesn't have a hand in what they're doing. He just lets the karma play its course. So he cares about his devotees more than he does about the non-devotees. Non-devotees, he doesn't take a special interest in them. So, how is that fair? We're going to try again, huh? Okay.
It's because the non-devotees don't care about Krishna anyways, so why would he care about them? But the devotees, their interest is to go back to him. So Krishna is helping everyone. So he helps the devotees in a way that they can come back to Krishna, and basically helps the non-devotees. The non-devotees.
Yes, but he also, the non-devotees, why should he care about them? They're also his parts and parcels.
So they wanted to be left alone, so he leaves them alone.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? See, there's the non-devotees, and it's like dependent. You have a little child. You have two little children, but you have a little child. Then you have a grown-up child and a little child. Now, who do you take care of more? You love them both, but there's one that's not in your life very much. They're on their own. They move to another country. They just, and you write to them. Of course, now you got Skype and so many other things. But You may keep in touch, but not so much. But the child that's totally dependent on you, you're taking care of them completely. Everything, every single thing they need. So if you're dependent on Krishna, then he's going to take care of you completely. Now, he loves them, all living entities. But those who surrender to him, he's going to take special attention because they're dependent on him. That's one thing. Another thing is, he doesn't bar anyone from surrendering to him. So the non-devotees, if they want special treatment, they can surrender to him. And then they will get the same special treatment. It's like you draw a line here. Okay, everybody on this side, if you want to be a devotee and get special treatment, come on this side. And then there's people, foolish people, say, no, I don't want to. Okay, but you have that option. So he's completely fair because he doesn't bar anyone because of race, nationality, or religion. He doesn't bar anyone. He just gives everyone that same choice. You want to be my devotee, you can. And if you choose not to, then I'm not going to get too involved in your life. It's going to be your karma. So that way he is fair. And he's at the same time partial to his devotees. Yeah.
So in Mahabharata, the way the Krishna protected Arjuna, either from Karna or
Jayadraj.
yeah, is it like a partial? Is it this behavior of Krishna? Is it like a partial to Arjuna because he is his devotee?
Well, partial to Arjuna because he says in Bhagavad Gita, you are my devotee and my friend. So he's also a friend. They're pretty close. So he definitely took, friends, you stick up for your friends, I mean, especially, from what I see in India, you have a friend from 20 years ago in college, and they come and visit, they take care of them, you're still friends, you give up that friendship. So, Krishna, he was born in India. So he takes care of his friends. He's very attractive to all women. Boy, I'd like to get that quality. All worshipable, all opulent, all honorable, the supreme controller. So these are the first 50. Now, if you want, we sell these nectar devotions. I'd highly recommend everyone, if you do not have one. This is my favorite book. It's so nectar. It's just really nectar. And then Rupa Goswami talks about every one of these qualities and gives evidence from the revealed scriptures of how Krishna has this quality. And this is the whole nectar devotion is simply Rupa Goswami giving evidence from also. Now, you can't imagine. They didn't have computers 500 years ago. He had to look everything up on palm leaves and read all these scriptures. I mean, it's like, and he studied all the scriptures, all the revealed scriptures. And he wrote the conclusions and gave evidence of how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it's a really, really nectar thing. I'm going to read one quality which I like, even though we're getting off track, but it's a smaller class here, is genius, if I can find it here. I really like this, how Krishna is a genius. Here, you got to listen carefully. Now, first it tells, what does it mean, genius? And it says, a person is called a genius when he can refute any kind of opposing element with newer and newer arguments. So now there's the definition of genius, because you may have your idea of genius, but according to scripture, a person is called a genius when he can refute any kind of opposing element with newer and newer arguments. So you say this and I come back and I defeat you with some newer arguments. In this connection, there is a statement in Pyari which contains the following conversation between Krishna and, who do you think? Nobody's thinking? You can guess.
Arjun?
No,
Yudhishthira?
no. What? No. Good guesses.
Balaram?
No.
Sandipani?
Who?
His spiritual master.
No. Well, I am surprised at this group.
Wait.
What?
Gargamuni?
Bhagavad Gita? No.
With me.
No.
What is the context?
I already read that he's talking to someone refuting their arguments. In this connection, remember about genius to refute different arguments.
Duryodhana.
What?
Duryodhana.
No, that's a good guess though.
Karna?
Who?
Karna.
Arna? No.
Dhritarashtra? Dhritarashtra?
No.
He's talking to himself.
What?
He's talking to himself.
Himself? No, you're way off.
Bhishma? Bhishma or Karna?
No. I'm really surprised. Anyone in the kitchen? No.
Radha?
Who said Radha? You said Radha. Wow, finally, not Radha. Nobody can think of her. Okay, there is a statement in the Pyari which contains the following conversation between Krishna and Radha. One morning, when Krishna came to Radha, Radha asked him, "My dear Keshava, where is your Vasa at present? Where is your Vasa at present?" The Sanskrit word Vasa has three meanings. One meaning is residence, one meaning is fragrance, and another meaning is dress. So Vasa means residence, fragrance, and dress. And he says, and she said, "Where is your Vasa at present?" Actually, Radharani inquired from Krishna, "Where is your dress?" But Krishna took the meaning as residence, and he replied to Radharani, "My dear captivated one, at the present moment my residence is in your beautiful eyes." To this, Radharani replied, "My dear cunning boy, I did not ask you about your residence. I inquired about your dress." Krishna then took the meaning of Vasa as fragrance and said, "My dear fortunate one, I have just assumed this fragrance in order to associate with your body." Srimati Radharani again inquired from Krishna, "Where did you pass your night?" The exact Sanskrit word used in this connection, it was Yaminya Masitaha. Yaminya Mushitaha. Yaminya means at night, and Ushitaha means pass. Krishna, however, divided the word Yaminya Mushitaha into two separate words, namely Yaminya and Mushitaha. By dividing this word into two, it came out to mean that he was kidnapped by Yamini, or night. Krishna therefore replied to Radharani, "My dear Radharani, is it possible that night can kidnap me?" So she was asking, "Where did you pass your night?" But he took it to mean, separated the words, and he says, "Is it possible that night can kidnap me?" In this way, he was answering all the questions of Radharani so cunningly that he gladdened this dearest of the gopis. So anyway, that's just about genius. And there's the 50 qualities, and then there's 64 total. And who doesn't have a nectar of devotion? don't. Okay, who has a nectar devotion? Now we see the truth. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1, 7. I think I counted you. Trying to vote twice. Okay, anyway, for those who don't have, or for those who have and know someone else that might be interested, you should buy a nectar devotion. I really don't remember how much they cost.
$10.
Huh?
$10.
$8.
$8.
$8, and you can come and see me and I'll sign it. Okay, so back again. So let's see, we didn't get too far here. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person, that the personality of God is the supreme absolute truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, that is the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. So we're not really, I mean, there's certain things that you can check out. Like for instance, if you do a certain thing in science, you can get a certain result. And in Krishna consciousness, there's a lot of things you can also check. Just like that stool is contaminated, but stool of a cow is pure. So they actually, a scientist in India actually did tests and found that cow dung has all antiseptic qualities. So there's certain things you could check. There's certain things you cannot check. Like, but we accept the authority of the Vedas. What authority? You have to accept authority. You're in this world, you have to accept authority. Is there anyone here who thinks that they don't have to accept authority? Because it's like ludicrous. Everybody accepts authority. You know, how many people here have been to Australia? I'm assuming nobody, because nobody's raising their hand, but that doesn't mean anything this group here. But let's just say nobody's been to Australia. How many people believes that Australia exists? Why? Okay, we got some hands, all right. Why do we believe it exists? Because we accept some authority. So everyone has to accept authority. But the scientists, or the material authority is fallible. Just like they found, they had this carbon-13 or something way of dating old fossils. And they had all these dates, and then they found out this was wrong. It was inaccurate. I don't know how they found out it was accurate and how they found out it was inaccurate, but they constantly find things wrong with their conclusions. So we have to conclude we cannot accept them as an authority. We can accept them as an authority in some things, but if it's contrary to what Scripture says, then we don't accept them. But Scripture is always right. In anything that it says that can be tested. Even the chanting of Hare Krishna can be tested. It's an experiment you have to make yourself. Try chanting Hare Krishna for a couple hours a day. Just do it for 1 week. Try chanting Hare Krishna. Try reading these books every day. And see what the result is. If you feel just as miserable, then you can stop. But you won't. You'll actually feel really, really good. Because it's real. And try chanting something else. If you think that, try chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. And do that and see how that makes you feel. Pretty sick, I'm sure. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Svetasvatara Upanishad 3:10, and that is, in the material world, Brahma, The primeval living entity within the universe is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendent, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental. But those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. So, now in the Vedas, there's indications that the Supreme Lord is not a person. There are certainly indications that the Supreme Lord is a person, and there's indications that he's not a person. What is one to do? I want to know the truth. The same Vedas are telling me the truth. How do I know? So, anybody have any idea? How do you know? You almost had your hand up. Anybody know? We want to guess? How would you know? This is where we have to accept a spiritual master, a bona fide representative, Krishna. Somebody who knows the truth, who's seen the truth. And then they can instruct you of how to understand these things. Now let's just see. The impersonalists put stress on the word arupam. Rupam is form, arupam means no form. But this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates that the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge is as described in the Brahma Samhita, quoted above, Ishvara Krishna. Quoted above. Other verses in the Svetashvatara Upanishad 3, 8, and 9 substantiate this as follows. So, arupam or nirguna. Sometimes the absolute truth is known as nirguna. He has no material qualities. He doesn't have no qualities. He has qualities, but not material qualities. So arupam. I didn't read it yet here, but it probably means that he doesn't have a material form. He has a spiritual form. So let's now read the quote. I'm not reading all the Sanskrit because we have to answer. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. And this is another quote from the same Svetashvatara Upanishad. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person, because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated in a silent tree, and he illuminates the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. So this Brahman that we're speaking of is an aspect of the Absolute Truth, but it's not the complete understanding. And the Brahman is one feature. So Krishna has his energies all pervasive. Everywhere you see everything, it's Krishna or Krishna's energy. That's all there is. And Maya means that which is not, and that's when you see something separate from Krishna. So if we see every single thing we see is in relation to Krishna, then we're not in Maya. But when we see something separate from Krishna, nothing is actually separate from Krishna, then that's illusion. So, any question? Yes.
When we talk to a new person for the first time, he has no faith in scriptures, and he may not belong to this religion, he has never heard about this philosophy. So how can we explain that Supreme Personality?
Right, that's a good question. When we first meet someone, they may have no faith in scripture, especially Westerners. They don't. So how can you convince them of Krishna? Then you use logic and reason. Because even with logic and reason, I mean, most devotees, Western devotees, they all became devotees because of logic and reason. not because of Scripture, because who cares what the Scripture says? I don't believe that. You know, I'm not going to accept that. But if it makes sense to me logically, and just like God, first, how is there God? Logic. If you know logic, and if everything we see that has order, there's intelligence behind the order. So now that's logical, that everything, there is nothing I see this wall, there's intelligence behind it. There's some intelligence that made it, the floor, the electric light. These things don't just happen. There's somebody who actually thought of them. So there's intelligence. The traffic on the street, there's intelligence behind it. There's lights, you know, red lights, green light. There's some intelligence behind it. And anything you see, you can't name one thing that has order that doesn't have intelligence. So, logically speaking, we can see that this universe has order. It's very orderly. They can predict when the next comet's coming. They can predict when time the sun is going to rise, what time it's going to set, what time the moon is going to rise, what time it's going to set. They can do this because there's order in the universe. So if you see this order and you're a logical person, you have to accept there's intelligence behind that order. And we don't have any examples of intelligence besides a person. A person, a living entity has intelligence. It's not saying that even animals have intelligence. Well, not as advanced as humans, but they have intelligence. And demigods have intelligence much more advanced than humans. But there's intelligence behind everything. And there's no example of intelligence without a person. So we actually have to conclude that the intelligence behind the universe is a person. That's logical. It may not be. Maybe logic, because actually we even say logic can only go so far, but we're not going to tell them that. But logically, if you accept logic, you have to accept that there is a person behind this universe that's controlling everything. So that's just one example. But you have to learn how to defeat these people with logic and reason. Don't try to use scriptures for some new person. They're just not going to accept that. You know, an Indian person may, if they're, especially if they're older, the younger ones may not accept the authority of the Vedas anymore. But more likely they might accept, whereas Westerners will definitely not accept the authority of the Vedas. But they will accept logic and reason, unless they're just a complete rascal.
Even some Indians they don't accept.
No, there are definitely Indians who don't accept it. But the thing about the scriptures, it's like a lawyer. A lawyer who is fighting some case, he brings up this law, and they have to accept it. If it's a law, they have to do it. They can't say, no, we're not going to take that. No, they have to. So similarly, the scriptures are like that. You can't just disregard anything it said. You may interpret it. There's actually a body of government that interprets the law. You know, what the law is. Now we have to interpret it. We wrote it, now we've got to interpret what it actually means. So, but anyway, so I'd say with most people, even Indian people, logic and reason, well, you can use Bhagavad Gita. Most people accept it, or Indian people have Bhagavad Gita. Not all. Most. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to just do one last thing. This is what, I'm not going to be able to say it. Vaisheshika said that he didn't ask for questions or comments. He asked for some other word where you kind of just give some feedback of something you got out of class. So does anyone get anything out of this class? And if so,
Reflection.
what?
He said reflection.
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 Okay, reflection. He got that out of his class, not out of my class. But that's what he's helping me here with. Reflections. If you could reflect on the class and what did you possibly get. I really like that he did this, because when he did it, it makes you remember everything so much better. It's like when you meet somebody and they tell you their name. That's the end. But if you repeat their name, then you remember it, more likely to remember it. And in scriptures, you repeat something. It's hearing and chanting. You hear it, and then you repeat it, and then the next thing is remember it. There's 9 processes. The first 3 processes of devotional service are hearing, chanting, remembering. So the first one is you hear, and then the second one is you repeat it. And then that will help you to remember it. So, does anyone can remember, say anything that they got in the class yet?
The conversation between Krishna
Wait,
and
I'm going to shut this off because now I got to listen here. What?
the conversation between Radha and Krishna. That was. Everybody was.
Do you have a nectar devotion?
Yeah.
I do, okay. I would have been a
But
good.
I'll take two.
You can take another one?
Yeah.
But that's only for certain people. That's really for devotees, the nectar devotion. I mean, mostly for devotees. Okay, yeah, I really like that. And then what's the quality? I'm asking you.
Me?
Yeah.
But I didn't get that.
The quality, this conversation between Radha and Krishna is exhibiting one of the qualities of Krishna.
Genius.
Genius,
Yeah,
yes, genius. Okay, anything else? You almost raised your hand.
That what impersonal and personal means.
Okay, what impersonal and personal means. That's good.
Krishna is partial to his devotees.
Yes, Krishna is partial to.
He is partial to them.
Right.
So
Right.
that is true.
Yeah, so that gives us a little more impetus to surrender.
Yeah.
I like the logic why Krishna is partial, because he is not actually partial. He is giving the opportunity
Right.
to everyone, but it's like who grabs that opportunity
Right,
when
exactly.
when to the other side of the line.
The crying child.
Right, right.
And Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan is the 100% and Brahman is like below.
Well, Brahman is not, maybe, well, another example is, if you have $100, you also have $10, and you also have $1. Brahman is like $1, $10 is Paramatma, and Bhagavan is $100.
The Sanskrit verses are good actually. No one is superior than the God.
I didn't hear you.
Initial that Sanskrit verses and that the ultimate thing is that no one is superior than the God.
Right,
The thought
right.
of
No one is equal to or greater than.
the God is the ultimate and God is the superior.
We're actually part and parcel of them. So the part's meant to serve the whole, we're meant to serve Him. And we do that. We do that by chanting His holy names. We're going to have arti soon. And we're gonna chant. Okay. Anyway, thank you all very much. You're a very nice audience, nice questions. And you started raising your hands after a while. Hare Krishna, glory to
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada.